Welcome back to JRG Guitars Up to Date, another episode in our PRS style build. Today is the day where it really starts to take shape. The previous episodes were unboxing and working on the neck. Here we start to put some stain on the body, and we get a sort of a course for how this guitar is going to look, and it sure is going to be exciting. So in our last episode, we did a little bit of work on that neck. We got it feeling really nice and looking good and ready to rock once we do set that into the body and get everything set up. I feel that fretboard will really be nice to play on. But today we sort of take shape on a color scheme that I think is going to look pretty darn nice. So there are sort of three main areas that I'm focusing on. That will be the back of the guitar, the top of the guitar, and the headstock, where I want to have that same theme going throughout. So we pull out the dies, we put them on the body, we do some grain filling, we do some sanding, a lot of sanding, a lot of prep work. This episode is very condensed in that footage is sped up, footage is omitted, but rest assured there was a tremendous amount of stain work and sanding work going back and forth till I got it kind of just right where I wanted it to be, and I think the product is going to turn out fairly well. So let's get after it right now. All right, so we're going to do our best job here to tape up and protect the guitar while we then do some sanding. So we're just going to tape up the cavity, and I'm going to protect the inside of this F-hole and the inside of the body so you don't get a bunch of gunk and garbage in there. That's right, so the plan is to do all the staining on the body first before I set that neck. So I'm really protecting the glue joint area because I want to make sure I don't have any problems when I set that neck in, that there's anything underneath there to interfere with the glue adherence. So the other thing that I want to do is protect the F-hole cavity. I did a hollow body guitar here a while back, and I did not do this step, didn't even think about it, and I got so much shavings and discoloration down in there, so I've learned now I just shoved a rag in there, and that'll help protect anything from getting on the inside of that cavity so you won't be able to see it once the guitar is finished and that is removed. Of course, putting a little tape on the back of the cavity where all the electronics will go just so nothing bleeds through, and then shoving some little paper down in these holes where the bridge is going to mount in, making sure that when I set those in, there's nothing to interfere with that sleeve going in there. Then coming through with sanding. Now, anyone who's getting into finishing a guitar, make sure you understand there is a lot of sanding going on. So I'm coming by here with just a little 220 and 320 just to take some of the edge off of these things. Any factory finish that might be on there, make sure that gets off. And then just wetting the guitar body down helps those fibers kind of stand up, and then I can come through and sand the rest off. Let that sit for a minute. All right, here we go. So the top is prepared, ready to go. Plan is to go red in the middle, blend it out. I have some orange mahoganies that I could blend in, even some blues if I wanted to give a tint of blue, and then it's going to go black on the outside. So this whole center portion will be kind of reddish, and I'm just going to start with that. I'm going to dilute with rubbing alcohol, isopropyl alcohol. We're going to start just with this cherry red. Now starting off here first, just that's a little cup of alcohol, and I put a couple of drops of red in there and then stir it up just to get it mixed, and we'll see how this will work because it's all just sort of a learning process. Why I started on the back so that anything that looked funky I could kind of correct it after that. As I put it on here, what I realized is that red was not jumping out. It was probably too dilute. It just did not jump off like I wanted. So I come in with a little bit of black dye here with the Q-tip, just get those corners and get the edges because I just want to see what it's going to look like. And that's when I'm seeing that the red just is not working for me, especially when I blended it in the corner right there. Did not do what I wanted to do. This just looked like somebody threw up some black and red dyes on the guitar. All right, we're going to try and sand it back a bit and see what it looks like. So coming through with the sanding here, and it just revealed kind of some purplish tones, which was cool. But I knew I needed to get something that looked a little bit darker and heavier. I also wanted to fill in some of the low spots. So coming in with my Aquacoat grain filler and just filling in those low spots with some dyed grain. So here we are with the grain filler tinted with red. And I'm going to attempt to get this off of here now. So once that grain fill goes in, I spread it out pretty nice and thin with a little card just to get it down in the grooves. I then come through and just sand the rest of the top down, and it does make a nice flat surface, but the red in the middle just is not jumping out. So now I come through, no dilution, right on a rag, straight red, so I can see that really start to pop out, and I kind of like the look of it, so I know I need to darken that center section up a bit. Also coming through here with some blues on the outside. I figured I would go red in the middle, blend blue around a ring, and then the dark black on the edge. Now I'm coming through with that black on the edge, and I'm hoping this gives a nice sort of a tritone burst effect, maybe even like a four-tone where you really have red, purple, blue, and black, where that red to blue is what blends in the purple in the middle there. So as I look here now, you can start to see the effect, and it does start to look pretty nice, and I'm getting excited about it. So the plan is to do a very similar look on the top, but in the meantime I want to darken up the sides a bit. So I come through here with black, and I just want them to be a nice black, so therefore the sides will be black, and it'll sort of bleed over on the top and the back of the guitar with a little bit of black coming in to then have that accented burst on both the middle, the top, and back. Here we go, nice and close up. Coming in with a little bit of steel wool. See if we can blend some of this in. Let's see how we do. Let's start up here on the horn. So that's the key that I have discovered, is the steel wool, which is really a nice effect because I come in with some 4-0 steel wool, and it does kind of just knock some of it down, blend it out, make it look nice. I then come through with some sanding sealer on the spray gun just to lock it in, because I found if I start sanding or doing anything different, the colors just run. So the sanding sealer is there to lock it in. Once that sanding sealer is dried, it's now for me to try to get the top prepared and ready for stain as well. Alright, so the plan now is to just put some dark stain down in there with some grain filler to fill those low spots and get it to kind of stay. So similar here with the Aquacoat, just tinted now with black to get dark stain down in the grain. Alright, let's see how we can do here. We'll just lay it on a little bit at a time. So that is exactly it. It doesn't take much because it's really just going down in the little low spots of the grain. So the plan is to put all this on here and then sand it back, and what will be left is just grain down in the low spots. So coming through with my card and just sort of making sure I get it way down there nice and deep, and then it'll be flat throughout. And now the long process here of just sanding off the rest of the top of the body. And as I run through here, I use my little sanding block and some just short pieces of sandpaper just to knock all the high stuff down and leave grain just down below. It does take just a little bit of time, but you can see for going from the horns down to the base of the guitar how it does start to lighten up, and just that grain now is popping off and looking good. At this point now, I want to stain the inside portion of the F-hole, just the ridge, the edge of it, black. So I come in here with just some black dye on a Q-tip and just sort of get it on there. I've taped off the top of the guitar to protect it, but I want that to be just black, so it really accents that F-hole very nicely. And then at this point, I learned my lesson from the previous stain on the back that I need to go just undiluted red dye in the middle. So the plan is to have the middle be red and then that same blend to the outside and see how we do. And I'll sort of try to make a nice little pattern where the red bleeds up into the horns and stuff like that. But first things first, red on the entire top of the body. So we're gonna apply a second coat. And that's exactly it. So that red really does look nice, but I now come through with another coat to darken it up even more, because there will be sanding done on the top of this body, and I want to make sure I have a nice dark base to start. Coming through at this point now on the edges and just staining the outer edge with black just to see how it's going to look. And as you can see, just applying it on with a little paper towel and then seeing that this one area didn't adhere properly, so I sanded back some red and then applied a little bit more. It's all a learning process just to see what might work best. So there's definitely stain going on, sanding happening, then some more stain, then some more sanding, and just back and forth until I get something that looks like I want it to be. Yep.
What are you doing?
I'm just working on this guitar.
Oh, you're making another one?
Yep. So yeah, he's pretty excited about this build as well. So we get the whole family involved in this one. But coming through here on the edges and a little just black accents coming up, you can start to see that purple poking through. So now I just want to lighten up some of these areas. So I'm going to go back with 320. That's exactly it. So now it's just a sanding process, mostly on the inner ring where it didn't blend through quite as nice as I wanted. So lightening it up and then coming back out similar to what I did on the back, sanding sealer to lock that stain in. Well, there it is. So we've got stain on the top and the back and the headstock, and it is looking nice. So next steps will be to join that neck and body together and then start to get finish stain on top of it, clear coat, making sure that everything looks nice and looks like a real solid piece of work. So if you're enjoying this episode or any of the previous episodes for this build or any others, I would ask that you please hit that like button, press the subscribe button, and ring the bell for future notifications, and I'll be able to let you know when the next video is coming out for you to take a look at. So thank you very much for watching this episode here on JRG Guitars. We'll see you on the next one.
JRG Guitar.